there, my name is Rob Wu, CEO and founder of CauseVox. We're also on with Jenna Notar-Francesco. We're excited to have you today in our webinar, How to Supercharge Your Fundraising Event. Super excited to share with you a little bit about CauseVox, lots of fundraising tips on fundraising events, share with you a few other things too. I want to just kick it off over here by just quick introductions. And then Jenna, why don't you take it from here?
Sure. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, so I wanted to dive in by talking a little bit about CauseVox for those of you who are new to our company. So CauseVox basically helps you raise more with less effort, and we do that through three main means. We provide best-in-class fundraising tools in the form of donation forms, mobile payments, campaigns, event ticketing, peer-to-peer fundraising pages. We provide hands-on support and onboarding. And we also provide top-rated fundraising education, and that's through our guides, templates, webinars, and courses. And actually, we're going to be sharing some free guides and templates later on in this webinar, so you're definitely going to want to stay on for those. So again, just to reiterate, we will replace all of your outdated forms and PayPal buttons, outdated fundraising sites, and basically give you new and improved, upgraded, more modern forms that will give your participants the best experience time over time. And so again, that's in the form of donation forms that you can run on your website, including pledge now, pay later options right on the form, crowdfunding, and then event ticketing and peer-to-peer fundraising, which we are going to be focusing on today. In terms of peer-to-peer fundraising, we really give you a hands-free peer-to-peer experience. You can set up all the default information for your fundraisers in the back end, and then when they sign up, they have something to start with. So it really takes them less than 60 seconds to sign up. They're able to access their dashboard right on their phones, and people are easily able to give and assign their donations. You can really run peer-to-peer for any fundraising event or challenge that you can think of. A really effective way to raise twice the amount of funds and also to acquire new donors at the same time. And if you want to, you can actually run in conjunction with your peer-to-peer, you can run event ticketing. So I know some of you might be trying to understand how you can run your spring events easily without using multiple platforms. CauseVox gives a really seamless way to do that. You can have all of your CTAs on one page, which I'm going to show you a little bit later. You can run your event ticketing, which is completely customizable, just like our donation form, and then you can run that alongside your peer-to-peer. So people go to one place for all of their transactions, making happier participants overall. So yeah, I mean, we're happy to offer a free demo. You can go to the schedule a demo page and actually book one for an on-demand. You can watch our recorded demo, or if you want to chat with me specifically about your organization's personalized goals, we can also go through that. And I really look forward to speaking with all of you about your upcoming events. I'm going to kick it back to Rob.
Awesome. So for today, what we're going to do is talk about a few things. We'll talk about 4 time-saving tips for your fundraising event. We'll go through a few fundraising ideas as well that you can, if you don't have a fundraising event planned in the near term, then there's some proven fundraising ideas for events that you can take some inspiration from. From there, so I'll talk about the first 2 bullet points. The third one, Jen is going to walk through a few real-life examples of fundraising events that we've seen on our platform and take away some of the best practices and share that with you so that you can take that and apply it to your fundraising event. We're anticipating about 20 minutes each. And then lastly, we have an optional Q&A as well as some resources that we want to share where you can take away and either ask us questions about what we've been talking about or specific to your fundraising event, as well as some additional resources that you can take away and use and apply to your strategies. So let's kick it off with 4 time-saving tips for your fundraising event. One of the things I've been doing recently is I've been talking to a lot of our customers. One of the things that I find really valuable is just connecting with the people that you're serving. At an organization, you probably do this too, where you want to connect with the people that you're impacting so you can hear from them. For me, this is a little bit selfish. I want to learn some of the best fundraising practices that some of our most successful customers are having so I can learn, but also I can digest this and structure it in a way that you all can understand and deliver it better webinars to our audience. So recently I did a customer interview with Carousel Ranch. They're a small nonprofit based in California. And year after year, they raised over $100,000 through their fundraising event. So recently published this. Feel free to watch it. We will be sharing this link later on, as well as through chat. So feel free to watch it. Some top fundraising hacks here. I did distill some of this and apply some of this into our presentation today. So the first thing that I want to talk about in terms of a time-saving tip is forming the right team. You know, a lot of times when we work together in a team, we're going in a lot of different directions. So Sally might think that we need to execute a fundraising event in this way, or John might think that, hey, we need to do X, Y, and Z. So there's a misalignment in terms of your team, in terms of where they're headed. What this causes is a lot of stress and a lot of work and a lot of redundancy. And one of the things that helps you form better as a team is if you align your efforts and basically your force, your velocity into a singular goal so that you can accomplish and execute a successful fundraising event. One of the things that I find to be really helpful in making that outcome is what we call a RACI chart. A RACI chart is basically a model to allow you to function better as a fundraising team. Where everything is very clear, the tasks are detailed out, as well as responsibilities and accountabilities are all accounted for. RACI, R-A-C-I, basically stands for an acronym for being responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. And each one of these is tied to a specific role on your fundraising event team. So R is being responsible. This is typically someone who is responsible for doing something like purchasing goods for the event or talking to sponsors, something very specific. Accountable, this role is someone who is ultimately the person who is kind of like the decision maker. Typically, this is the event manager or the project manager for your fundraising event. C is someone who's consulted. Typically, this is like a subject matter expert or someone who knows something about the fundraising event or about your audience or about your donors that you can consult. And then I is someone who's informed, typically senior leadership, CEO, executive directors, that kind of thing. So what you want to do is basically make a matrix. On the left-hand side, you can list all the different activities that you need to do for your fundraising event. For the columns, you can put in each person as someone, and then you basically assign RACI on it. And then that helps you develop a matrix, which makes it very clear for your team members in terms of executing their activities. So this is just an example from Lord of the Rings, and, Frodo, Sam, Gandalf, etc. And then essentially you can use this so that you share it with the team, discuss it together, so everybody knows where they're headed, as well as people exactly know who is doing what and what needs to happen. So time-saving tip number one, to reduce number of emails, reduce number of meetings, is to use a RACI chart. Number two is, don't start from scratch. With your fundraising event, you actually don't need to reinvent the wheel every single time. And I want to share with you a few things because when I talked to Carousel Ranch, they mentioned that the tools that we offer over here at CauseVox, as well as the financing platform, has been really helpful year after year for them. So they save a lot of time by not having to reinvent the wheel. So I want to share with some of our most popular fundraising tools. So the first one is a fundraising plan and calendar. So this is basically a worksheet that we have, and it's completely free. And it's a spreadsheet. You can use this if you don't have a fundraising plan or a fundraising strategy for 2022 or even 2023. You're trying to think about what kind of fundraising event that I want to do. Then this is a great idea to not only get some inspiration and some ideas, but also to plan out when the fundraising event should actually be. So you can take this, use a spreadsheet, you can plug it in, you share it with the team so you can figure out when it is, what the costs are, what the estimated fundraising goals are, and it allows you to plan out a fundraising calendar where things don't overlap, you're giving us space to breathe, not only for your own self-care, but also for your donors so they don't get fatigued. Another fundraising tool that I want to share is our peer-to-peer fundraising toolkits. This is really valuable because we've seen peer-to-peer fundraising, when it plugged into a fundraising event, to be wildly successful, which increases fundraising results. Carousel Ranch, for example, 60% of their fundraising event revenue comes from peer-to-peer. So, and I think that's a huge growth opportunity for a lot of organizations. And in order to pull off a really successful peer-to-peer initiative, though, one of the things that you want to shift to is not becoming the direct fundraiser, but actually becoming a coach. And in order to help with that, we have different toolkits that a lot of our other customers have developed, and we basically just copy and pasted it and put it into a PDF so that any organization can take a look at some examples and essentially copy those templates and share it with their peer-to-peer fundraisers. So take a look over there. Another one that I did find really helpful, so you're not starting from scratch and helps save you time, is our fundraising appeal worksheet. So a lot of times I'm writing a blog post or writing an email and I just see a blank page and it takes me forever to put down some initial thoughts. So this is one of the tools that we developed to help you outline what your fundraising appeal should be for your fundraising event. That you can send out either through email or have it on your campaign site or your fundraising event site. It helps tell a story, helps compel your donors in order to not only register for your event, but to take action, whether it's making a donation or creating a personal page. So this is a great model to use, so you're not starting from scratch. And another one that we have too is our fundraising thermometer. And this is the last one. Oh, this is not the last one. We have the second last one. So essentially this fundraising thermometer allows you to create a visual thermometer. You can customize the goals, and this is free too. You can set like different colors and branding so it matches your look and feel. And then you can copy and paste this image into your email or to your website so that you can use this and help folks keep track of the fundraising progress for your fundraising event. So take a look at this one too. And then very lastly is your ticket order receipt. We do have a guide on how you can write a ticket order, on how you can templatize this. So very lastly, you don't have to start from scratch. You can just take this, take something that works, copy it, adapt it, and it'll save you a bunch of time. So as I mentioned, Carousel Ranch just says that, instead of starting from scratch year after year, they're able to use some of these templates, and that helps them be successful. And my hope is that it'll help you be successful too. All right, and this is just their campaign site, just to show you how they were able to launch a fundraising event on our platform, and then from there, clone it year after year and make some tweaks. All right, tip number 3 is to set up automations to reduce admin tasks. So a lot of times when we talk to organizations running fundraising events, they focus a lot on the logistics of the event and the area when it comes to some of the back office, that's something that's pushed off. What I recommend is that integrations might be scary, but it's worth the time to set them up because it helps you become more productive and overall helps you save a bunch of time. So one of the things that you can do to save you a bunch of time is to set up automated emails. These are email newsletters, ticket orders, ticket holder orders, as well as donation receipts. And this is something that you can do not only on our platform, but also on other platforms too, where you can templatize some of the automation that goes out. One of the things you can also do is you can set up integrations too. And this is very easy to use, which allows you to set up different things. And 3 of the integrations that I recommend is first, is every time you have a ticket order or donation, you can set up an integration that shoots it to a Google spreadsheet. So instead of you at the end of the day pulling a report for your event, you can actually see in real time and share this with your colleagues to see how many registrations you're getting for your event or how many donations you're getting. So you can monitor in real time. You can share this with your bookkeeper or accountant or with the rest of your team so folks can celebrate the registrations. What you can also do is you can trigger donations as an integration, where, for example, on CauseVox at least, every time a donation comes in, then it can appear in your donor management system, whether it's Salesforce or Bloomerang or Kindful or Neon CRM, kind of whatever it is. You can send this data over so you don't have to reconcile it later on. And then very lastly, the last integration that I do recommend is that when you have a trigger for notifications in chat. So whether you use Google Hangouts for your nonprofits chat or use something like Slack, you can notify your whole team or through a channel every time someone registers or buys a ticket, or every time someone makes a donation, so your team can celebrate in the success and the progress of the fundraising. So these are some of the 3 recommendations I recommend for integrations, so you can save a bunch of time as well as keep your team informed. The third tip, time-saving tip is, this is the fourth fundraising tip, and the last one is the plug-in peer-to-peer fundraising. When we talked to Taylor Adachi from Carousel Ranch, they mentioned that peer-to-peer fundraisers are one of the key driving forces of the fundraising event success, and they raise over 60% of the funds raised. So we definitely recommend this. For example, for Taylor Adachi, at least when it comes to Carousel Ranch, they're able to create this campaign site on our platform. So let me just share that real fast. And so this is kind of what it looks like over here. So this is their campaign site. They're able to share, hey, this is Carousel Ranch, this is my event. They're not building from scratch, nor is it a form. And they're able to clone this and have a section where their participants, for example, are able to create these personal pages and then actually solicit on the behalf of the organization's event. So this way they can expand their reach. They can use board members, they can use volunteers. They basically have their whole army of folks, not only for their fundraising, but for their fundraising event, in order to drive additional ticket purchases, as well as to drive attendees, and in the day to drive more donations to their fundraising event. So I think it's very exciting as a way to do it. And what we see on CauseVox is that organizations that use peer-to-peer fundraising, whether it's tied to a standalone peer-to-peer event or just do it yourself ongoing, typically raise twice as much, because this way you have your whole group of marketers, your volunteers, people more vested in your fundraising event. Some of the candidates that you can take a look at in order to recruit for your fundraising event include board members, staff members, volunteers, essentially anyone that is tied to your organization that has ownership of the success of the organization is a good fit. Other folks who include some of your most engaged folks, like your volunteers or your returning donors, recurring donors, anyone who has shown some level of engagement and support is also a great candidate to reach out to create a peer-to-peer personal page or a team page as part of your fundraising event. All right, speeding along on our last section over here would be event fundraising ideas. So for folks who don't have a fundraising idea or don't have a calendar planned out, here's just a few ones I want to highlight. These are proven fundraising event ideas that we see time and time again on the CauseVox platform. So they include runs, walks, races, which is very typical, galas, happy hours, challenges, gaming events, raffles and bingos, dance-a-thons, scavenger-thons, and obstacle courses. So those are just some ideas. I want to highlight a few that I find to be pretty high performing. A lot of walkathons happen in the spring, summer, as well as the fall. So this is something that could be pretty interesting. For example, the Parkinson's Nebraska, they're a small nonprofit, and for their fundraising event, they decided to get people to walk as many miles as it takes to cross the state of Nebraska. So this is very interesting. Where it's not just a 5K or a 10K. It's not a typical run. It's something that's kind of unique to the organization, and it's kind of fun too. Where they're getting folks as part of the fundraising event to not only register, but then to create the peer-to-peer pages as a way to perform that activity. In addition to that, one of the things that folks can do too as part of their fundraising event is to keep track of the number of miles being walked, so it ties directly to something that's displayed on their pages. Another thing to consider too is what we call the gala. So the gala is something that's typical. This is probably one of your prime fundraising events that you do at your organization. But to make it a little bit different, you can do a virtual gala like a lot of folks did during COVID, or you can do more of a hybrid gala as well. So you have an in-person portion, but then you also have a digital portion where folks can create personal pages or donate prior to the fundraising gala. In addition to that, we do see a lot of organizations running ungalas. So these are like the anti-gala, where it's 100% fully digital, where they basically say, hey, we're not going to do a live in-person event. We're going to do more of a live stream, or we're just going to do something else that is anti-gala, because the gala is a lot of work for staff, as well as a lot of costs associated, which reduces your return on investment. Another fundraising event that has been wildly successful that we see a lot are challenges. So this is a take on the walkathon, where a walkathon is really specific. You do a walk, or a marathon, you do a race, or a bikeathon, you do bikes. So those are really focused on folks who are typically very active and a little bit more athletic, and they spend a lot of time and interest in doing that. Well, The reality is that a lot of folks don't want to do that because it's a lot of work and working out is not fun. So what they want to do is something a little bit different. And Postpartum Support International has done that through what they call the Climb Out challenge. A challenge is something that's interesting because you're able to craft a fundraising event that focuses on something that excites your audience instead of something that is just boilerplate like a walkathon or bikeathon. This makes your fundraising event more inclusive, so you can actually include a wider audience, but also is more tailored to your organization, so it can reflect the personality as well as the mission of the organization. Some of the common fundraising events that we see that are challenges include a polar plunge. So you challenge folks to plunge into a body of water during the wintertime, or even a no shave November, which is not shaving for the month of November, and having a fundraising event around that. What we can also do is do something that's more of an activity focused fundraising event. So the Orangewood Foundation does an Orangewood Adventure Challenge, where it's very inclusive. So kids and adults can participate and it's all outdoors. Something that's interesting where, especially if your audience has a lot of folks that don't want to be indoors for a fundraising event. So this is something you can do outdoors. We can have a mix of both as well. And what's interesting about this is that these type of fundraising events are very activity focused, where it becomes basically something to do over the weekend, and it can entertain the whole family, which a lot of folks find it very inclusive. So those are fundraising ideas. We are listing additional fundraising ideas for your events in the resources. So we do have that later on the slide that you can take a look at. So again, 4 fundraising tips. One is form the right team, use templates, set up automations, use peer-to-peer fundraising, and then we also have a bunch of fundraising ideas that we just shared. All right, Jenna.
Awesome, thanks so much. I am now going to walk through some examples of these sites, speaking to, I guess, a couple different examples than Rob shared. So I have a lot. I'm going to try to get through most of them. Basically, I was looking through our campaigns and I decided that all of these campaigns have 4 similarities. They all have the 4 C's, I guess Jenna's 4 C's. They are, and it can be 4 C's, but my 4 C's are they're clear, they're creative, they're convenient, and they're celebratory. Sorry, it's a soft C, just stay with me. The celebratory one here. All right, so first we've got Mentor New York. This is a virtual gala. What I personally like about this campaign is that, very clear information on how to participate. And then also on their donation form, they sort of combined their general donations with their sponsorships, which I think is really easy. If you're trying to gather sponsors, there's a really easy way for them to submit their payment right through the donation form or even the ticketing form. And then on top of that, I had mentioned previously that, you can combine all your CTAs at once. So this is, one example that, they're running donations, they're running peer-to-peer fundraising, and they're also running ticketing. So, you can process a donation, your sponsorship as well as your ticket to the event. You can do a ticket to the event, whether it's a virtual event, hybrid, or in person. And I liked how they even added tiers for the ticket price as well as donation of a service. So you can combine ticket price, in-kind donations, and such like that. So, I really just love the way they, drove everyone to one site for all these different types of transactions. They included these customized graphics and, kept it short and sweet, kept it very clear and simple. And then they have their peer-to-peer as well here. Moving on to the next campaign. This is also a sort of like an all-in-one campaign. They're running donations, they're doing peer-to-peer fundraising, and they're running raffle tickets. This one stood out to me. It seemed pretty creative to me. They're doing a then and now charity challenge. So basically they are having their fundraisers, they're having people vote on these individual fundraisers photos, between then and now photos. to celebrate both generations of people and their elder care work. So not only are you donating per fundraiser, but the donation form actually includes the type of impact that donation is going to make. So the fundraiser with the highest amount of donations associated with their page gets a prize. And then individuals also have the ability to purchase raffle tickets for some giveaways, that they're selling here for the raffle in. So you've got a lot going on, and you even have a linked toolkit. Rob mentioned the importance of making your contestants, your fundraisers, your participants feeling equipped. So again, this is a toolkit for those people who are your peer-to-peer fundraisers. In this case, they are photo contestants. And so really just explaining the ins and outs of signing up, providing some graphic visual examples on how that's going to work. And then what the roles are, what the expectations are to go out there and not only be in whatever, participating in whatever event you're doing, but also what their goals are as fundraisers. So, they also clearly, highlighted their sponsors on the side here. So I think, just all in all, really fun, creative way to get people engaged. I do want to speak briefly about our Walk, Run, and Activity Challenge campaigns. So this is Wag Fest, Canine Cancer Alliance. I thought that their campaign was great, just because they are really integrating both their fundraising site with their website and their other social media platforms. So, standard, schedule, registration information, that's all there. That's all very important. But also, if I want more information, I can click here and it brings me to their website directly. And we see that integrated connection between all of their registration and donation option here. So they created this landing page, specifically for their 5K, and then linked in, CauseVox registration, bringing you to the landing page. You can also, if you wanted, instead of just linking to the donation form, you could embed the donation form directly on your website. Start a team, it brings you to the team search. So you can use specific URLs within CauseVox fundraising site to integrate and put right on your website. Similarly, I will say this particular 5K, here's our secondary progress bar to track those miles ran across all the peer-to-peer pages. And, similarly, Brittany's Hope actually embeds elements of their fundraising site. So the progress of their campaign, as well as the leaderboard themselves. And so yeah, this is just a really great example here. I just love how they have the stats right on the personal pages to know the kind of impact that Brittany's Hope is making. And yeah, easily shareable out to social media and to their networks directly. So yeah, I think that these are some great examples. Moving on to another walkathon example, 222K. They're kind of, they're using a play on, not a play on words, but like an alliteration to help with the title. And they just make it really fun by having people dress up in tutus and to support their cause. They really put the fun in fundraise. I think they do a great job with this. And I think it gets people really energized to get out there and do this walk run. And so, similar to the Kansas campaign, they're thanking their sponsors on the sidebar very prominently here, very easy to upload those graphics. And just another example of an activity challenge, we have CBM Active in Mission campaign. They use our impact metric, which I think is a nice touch if you want to show impact right up front in your stats section. So they quantified how many months of kids' education was supported based on the amount of funds that have been raised. I think that's really great just to show the kind of impact that they're making. And with this particular campaign, I think what's really nice is the way that they use custom graphics. You know, they have a clear step-by-step in terms of registration and participation, and then they highlight their goals as they've reached them with a custom graphic. So, you know, just showing your donors, you know, what they've been able to achieve, not only you as the organization, but what your donors have been able to achieve. They're helping you. They are also reaching these milestones with you. So I think that's really great to celebrate and highlight. Let's see. Okay, this one is an example of an event like activity, sort of like the Orangewood example, but this is specifically going out and skiing and snowboarding for a fundraising event. They call it the Jane-a-thon. And what I like about this site, and I think it makes them very successful, is the fact that they're really clear with what the expectation is for their fundraisers, right? So right off the bat, they have a $175 goal to fundraise, and it explains, you know, what that number covers. And so, you know, after they reach that target, that first target amount, they have the opportunity to continue reaching new target amounts, and then have the opportunity to win prizes based on the amount that they're able to fundraise. And so, you know, if you are able to incentivize your fundraisers to get out there and fundraise, and you know, this could be a benefit to your organization as well. Again, clearly highlighting sponsors. I always love the inclusion of sponsor logos. You can link out to their URLs on text as well. So yeah, this is another example and something that I really think is a fun event to get people involved. And lastly, I have this Toast to Awesome Brunch at Home. I think that this was also really creative. It was this one took place right at the beginning, or towards the onset of the pandemic, or in the middle, but when people were still really staying home, and they wanted a creative way to get people engaged online and in the you know, in lieu of a gala. So they did a virtual brunch, and they were able to combine pre-recorded video with live stream video. And so the live stream component was these brunch demonstrations. So they had chefs, culinary influence, and people just leading everybody who was participating at home in, you know, in their brunch, in their drinks, creating drinks, and just participating in this together. Yeah, so virtual cocktail class and bartending training. So this was just a really kind of, you know, fancy at home brunch, but, you know, they had a way to get people connected even while they were in their homes. And again, clear sign up process and participation process. And they also had prize drawing packages, which I think is nice. So yeah, you can really, honestly, if I always say, like, if you can think it, you can fundraise for it online. And it's really true. Like, I wouldn't even have thought to do a pre-recorded / live stream virtual brunch for people at home, but you know, they made it happen, and they were really successful doing it. So that was all through peer-to-peer and online fundraising on CauseVox. So yeah, I think that was everything I wanted to share, Rob. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to.
I think that's great. But we also have some additional resources too. So I know we sped through a lot of this in the past 36 minutes. So we have a write-up of some of the best practices related to Russell's Ranch's fundraising event. We also have some additional write-ups of some time-saving tips when it comes to your fundraising event. You can also schedule a demo using that link. These slides with the other templates will be sent out as well. And if you're looking for specific examples, that some of the ones that Jenna has shared, you'll have a point of contact to reach out to. So Jenna, I'll be happy to share that with you.